Hello everybody, I'm Brett and I'm here to try to clarify and simplify the many apps that we have here in the Odoo platform. This webinar, it should be helpful for anybody that is relatively new to Odoo or even more experienced people that want to fill in some gaps in their understanding. I'm currently the acting VP of Sales of Odoo in San Francisco, and I focus a lot on North America and Latin America, but I've had several different roles here prior to that over the past 5 years. And most of my time in the role, my role has involved somehow explaining the details of the Odoo platform to newcomers. And so yeah, that's why I volunteered to present this topic today. Okay, so take a look here in the screen. If you're really new to this, Odoo, it's a suite of business apps that make up one platform. Each app adds extra functionality based around different parts of a business. And what you see listed here, it's just a small sampling of the many standard Odoo apps that we have. There are currently 37 main Odoo apps on the pricing page that you'll see, and not to mention there's quite a few free apps as well built into the Odoo platform, and it can be a little overwhelming to people. So we're doing this webinar because people are often asking us, which app do I need, or which app does my business need, I should say. Or they might even ask, well, what does each Odoo app do? And maybe most commonly what people tend to ask us a lot is, how do all of the Odoo apps actually work together? How do they connect? How do they integrate with each other? And it's understandable why we get these things because there's a lot to unpack. There's a lot to it. So today you can consider this webinar as sort of a quick video brochure of the core of the Odoo platform. We're going to go through every main Odoo paid app, so that's 37 apps, and we're going to try to spend around 1 minute per app. We're going to explain exactly what the app is for and what the business purpose is. We're going to talk about what kind of company would use it, what the value is. And as a quick teaser, I'm just going to highlight 1 or 2 features per app that I think shows off the value of it and what it can do. And then perhaps most importantly, one of Odoo's biggest strengths is all about the integration between the different apps. So as we go, I want to spend time focusing on exactly how they connect together. And piece by piece, what that means is we're going to build out a map. So a diagram of all of the apps connecting to each other. Call it an app map, call it whatever you want. So we're going to go through it one group at a time. If you look at the odoo.com website, you're going to see that we organize our apps by different business groups because it's easier that way. So we've got sales, we've got finance and accounting, inventory and manufacturing. We've got the services apps, websites, marketing, human resources or HR, and the productivity app groups. Okay, so here we go. Let's try to cover 37 apps in, 37 minutes or so, and let's start getting through them. By the way, if you're watching this live right now and if you have any questions along the way, feel free to ask it in the chat because there should be some people watching from Odoo that can help answer. Okay, so the first app group that we're going to get into is the sales app group. That includes the sales app itself, CRM, rentals, subscriptions, and point of sale or POS. The title of the group kind of says it all. It's all about making sales and getting business, whether that takes place over several months or years, or if it's just a quick face-to-face transaction. Sales, it's a good starting point for this webinar because it's also where a lot of the workflows begin within the Odoo platform. And we're just going to tackle them one at a time. All right, the sales app itself, it is for entering orders and sending out quotations. It works well for any kind of sales rep, whether it's just taking an order over the phone or receiving it by email, importing it from an external channel, or if there are proposals being sent out in quotations. It works for multi-channel selling, so you can split it up into different groups or different teams, different channels, based on where the sale is coming from. And then I think it's worth pointing out that sale orders in Odoo, they tend to trigger a lot of actions throughout the platform, so they begin a lot of workflows. I'm going to quickly feature the online quotations feature that we have in the sales app. If you want, you can send a unique private URL to the online version of a quotation. And the best thing about it, this is what it looks like, the best thing about it is that it's interactive. The customer can communicate back and forth with their sales rep, and when they're ready to move forward, they can sign it to confirm, or they can enter payment with a credit card. And that's good because it kind of removes the barriers to just getting the business. Next, the CRM app. CRM can mean many different things in Odoo, but in Odoo, it's specifically an app used for pre-sales activity. So pipelines or funnels, ops, leads, and the day-to-day activities of people. And like all of the apps, it's fully mobile capable, and that can really come in handy in CRM because when your sales reps are out in the field, that way they can still work on this, or maybe they're not at their computer, or maybe they haven't gotten out of bed yet, whatever. The forecasting and the reporting, it's really great for not just managers, but also the individuals when they're reporting on their own day-to-day and tracking their own activity. And I'm going to mention it does a really good job of connecting to this free app that we have called Odoo Contacts. Odoo Contacts, that's where all the client information lives, and it's a critical part of the platform. And yeah, as a side note, I'm going to be mentioning quite a few of these free apps as we go along. They just come with the platform at no charge, but they bring a lot of value. All right, so a CRM feature to highlight is the chatter. And technically the chatter, it's across Odoo all over the place, but it really shines in CRM for sure. So what is it? It is a multi-purpose tool that lets you go ahead and handle your external communication, sending out messages. You could do internal communication, internal notes to communicate with other people in your team. And you can schedule activities. So that's your day-to-day activity like follow-up calls, meetings, that kind of thing. You can also store attachments, and there's a history that it keeps a log. Basically, it's where most of the day-to-day activities take place, and it's where 90% of the interaction comes for your different salespeople. Powerful tool. And so the next app is the rental app. It does what it sounds like. It lets businesses check in and out products, and then you can charge customers for it. It could be for products, it could be for warehouse spaces, it could be for rooms that you have, so on and so forth. It has a really good scheduling planning tool to see when things are available or when they're going to become available. And it has particularly strong connections to the accounting and inventory apps that we have. I'm just going to highlight the core functionality of the rental app, which is the pop-up that you see whenever you add a rental product to an order. Basically, as soon as you add the product, you get this pop-up, and it has everything you need in one little place. Right over here, you choose the date and the time that you're going to need this thing for, and then that calculates how many days. It lets you know if it's available or not, and then it also says what is that going to cost based on that range. It's nice and easy, and it's kind of compact and all in one place, so I like that. The subscription app, it's our way to handle recurring billing. It generates invoices for you on a schedule, some sort of recurring basis. You could use it for managing contracts, for services, and even SaaS models like what we have here at Odoo, software as a service. We use our own subscriptions app for all of our clients, and it's a really critical part of our business that we rely on. The connection with accounting, it's crucial because you're generating invoices that are flowing into accounting. And then the online portal where customers can manage and view their subscription, that's a huge strength too. Just real quick, I'll show the online portal here because it's great for the business and for the customer. First, a client, they can manage their subscription directly from the online portal that's private to them. And they can do things like update their payment methods. And I should mention there's a number of different payment acquirers that you can use with Odoo. Some of the main ones are Stripe, Authorize.net, and Genico. Those all work with recurring billing. And the automation, it just lets a business smoothly collect the payments without having to do any manual work. And the last of the sales apps to highlight is Point of Sale. That is for face-to-face selling, as in retail stores, restaurants, trade shows, selling things out of the back of your van, that kind of thing. There's quite a lot of easy hardware integration options for printers, scanners, barcode scanners, that kind of thing. And then maybe the best strength is the way that it connects to your inventory and your accounting. A lot of the POS tools that we compete against sometimes, they don't really have that same advantage because it's not integrated to your accounting or your warehouse and your stock. There's a lot of really fancy features that are nice and visual for Point of Sale, but I do want to mention a newer feature that kind of sets it apart, which is the info pop-ups. If you're building out a shopping cart and you hit info, you can see right away some critical back-end information for that product, like the financial info, the cost and margins, the inventory information, like how much do you have in stock and where, and then also the supplier information. So you see how much does it cost you and what suppliers do you get it from. So it immediately gives you a lot more visibility into real up-to-date back-end stuff that I think sets it apart from some of the competition. Okay, so let's start building out this Odoo app map, beginning with just those 5 sales apps that we looked at. Might want to zoom in for full effect, so do full screen on the YouTube. But anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and zoom in real quick, and we're gonna do it one app at a time and talk about these connections. The CRM app and the sales app, they're very closely connected because you can create quotations and sales orders directly from CRM opportunities and leads. Sometimes we call that native quoting. Any rental order in the Rentals app, it's basically a modified version of a sales order. It follows all the same characteristics of sales, except you can rent products. And then from within the Point of Sale app, you can actually access existing quotations and existing sales orders from the sales app. So they are connected in that sense. And then subscriptions, they're usually generated from an initial sales order. Technically, that connection goes both ways because you can create upsell and renewal quotations from the subscriptions app that uses the sales app. So yeah, we already have 4 connections right there between these apps, and it's looking small for now, but we're going to build it up as we go, and it's going to get a little bit crazy. So let's move on. The next group, it's our 6 finance apps. We have invoicing, we have accounting, expenses, consolidation, documents, and sign. And so obviously these apps, they're mostly meant for accountants, for bookkeepers, for CFOs, and also business owners too. But you'll see that the apps have plenty of use for other employees in the organization to use. And of course, it's all connected. The invoicing app, it's for both invoicing and bills. Making your first invoice, I'd say it's extremely easy to do. It's really intuitive. You can create them, you can send them out, and then you can apply payments to them, either partial or full payments. And same goes for bill management, so when you're paying things too. It's also important to highlight that in Odoo, many apps require the invoicing app in order to function. So it's kind of a core prerequisite. As a spotlight feature, I just really like the configure your document layout wizard. In fact, the very first time that you try to send out an invoice, it's going to ask you to configure the layout. Looks like this. You have 4 unique basic templates to work with. They each look quite different. And then I really love the fact that it automatically extracts the colors from your company logo to format the document. That's nice. I mean, you can override it if you want, but I like it. And the first impressions, they're important when you're sending these documents, so it's good. And the big head honcho of the finance apps is accounting itself. I like to say it lets you automate a lot of your financial operations, but it also gives you the full control to override things if you need to, and it gives you a lot of reporting. Most activities and processes inside of Odoo flow to accounting. They all kind of link to it. Sales, purchasing, inventory, stock accounting. And this also means that it goes both ways. Accountants can look back and very easily see all of the sources for these financial records. There's a lot of ways to automate things, from customer follow-up communication to letting customers pay off their invoices in the portal, and then a lot of time-saving things like optical character recognition, I think is what you say, OCR, and reconciliation models. And then reporting is extremely critical in accounting. So there's very strong dynamic reports like the P&L, the general ledger, that kind of thing. It's stuff that you'd kind of expect in an accounting platform. I'm going to highlight the way that Odoo handles bank synchronization and reconciliation. You can synchronize with your bank to automatically bring in statements on a schedule, like every hour, every 2 hours, you get to choose. Then you have the reconciliation matching screen here, where you can match statement lines to records that are already in Odoo. Where it gets advanced is that you can set up models, like you're seeing right here, to automatically match it based on criteria. And the models can get really advanced because you can set up a lot of conditional criteria in using things like regular expressions to parse through the data when it's looking at specific text fields. The main reason why it's huge is because it can save hundreds of hours for your accounting team when they're going through the reconciliation every month. We ourselves at Odoo, we use Odoo Accounting, and we have thousands and thousands of invoices to deal with and bank statement lines to deal with every month. But we're able to use these reconciliation models as a way to cut down on that and make the accounting team's lives a little bit easier. Expenses, that's a system for employees to manage their expense reports in a way that directly connects with accounting. So it's useful for your employees that might be logging travel expenses, food expenses. It's particularly user-friendly to the point where employees can submit their expenses if they're out traveling in the field or they're off at a hotel. On the other end of the flow, it's really convenient for the managers that need to approve or maybe reject those expenses. And then approved expenses and payouts, they flow smoothly into accounting. It's good to highlight just how easy it is to submit one. You could do it from within the app and within Odoo, or you could do it like here by sending a simple email. As you can see in this email example, the subject, it's the dollar amount total that's being expensed. And then the email address, that's a default alias for that customer's company. And the receipt is attached as an image file, probably taken with your phone. And then after the employees send it, it actually goes into Odoo and creates a record, brings in the attachment, and creates something for the manager to approve. So it's really simple and smooth that way. Next is the consolidation app. That's a pretty specific app. It lets you combine your financial reports from across different companies and different currencies. It is a tool for building out the reports that you need in order to have it in whatever format you need for comparisons and, well, consolidation. It's really ideal for multi-company. That's kind of what it's meant for primarily, where you pick and choose from your parent-child companies or your sister companies. And then it's also fantastic at consolidating financial reports when they might be in different currencies with different exchange rates. So for example, you have one company in the US, you have another company in Mexico. You create consolidated reports from it. I'm going to highlight the intercompany transactions. It's not technically a feature that's limited to consolidation, but it's related to multi-company, so it's relevant, you know. Basically, in Odoo, you can create as many companies as you need, and you might have situations where company A creates a purchase order to company B, and so then Odoo will automatically create a sales order that is the counterpart of that, and they're connected. It's a huge simplification, but the main point is that multi-company flows are really solid in Odoo, and aside from the consolidation app for reporting, there's no extra charge to add extra companies. The Documents app, it's a full DMS for uploading and importing, editing, and sharing your business records. You can import and upload and in many cases scan things in using OCR. And you can create automatic rules for what the documents are stored where and who gets assigned to the documents. The organization for it, it's really nice and easy to filter through and parse through. And in my opinion, it's easier than Google Drive or Dropbox. And there are built-in editing tools like the ability to split a multi-page PDF document and then recombine it, or combine multiple PDFs together, so you don't have to do that outside of the platform. It's a huge feature that comes with the Documents app too, that's Odoo Spreadsheets. And it's a built-in spreadsheet tool that lets you feed any Odoo data in to analyze it and to work with using formulas, just like you would with Google Sheets or with Excel. There are a lot of use cases like tracking progress towards KPIs or tracking sales commission, setting budgets. And the best thing is that once you get it all set up the way you want, you can save it as a template and it's running in real time. So you just keep on going and taking a look, and it's ongoing to update that information. So yeah, integrated spreadsheets, huge tool. Sign, it's a very simple but effective app that lets you set up digital signatures on documents as part of your workflows. Any PDF will work, whether it's a template that you use a lot or maybe just a one-time thing. It can be incorporated into your flows like sales contracts, HR contracts, so on and so forth. And the best thing is how you can incorporate actual Odoo data and fields. So Sign templates, that's the ability to create templates using the Sign app where you drag and drop the specific field and save the template for future use. In this example, there's a signature field, and you can specify that it should always be the customer that fills out this particular field. And you can have other fields to be filled out by internal employees instead. Many different kinds of fields, and it's all drag and drop. Okay, back to the app map. Now we're going to go ahead and add those 6 finance apps up here at the top. You'll notice I'm combining invoicing and accounting into one, accounting, and that's because an actual Odoo database does the exact same thing. Once you install accounting, it just kind of absorbs invoicing. Don't worry about it. Zooming in so we can look at the connections. Expenses create journal entries in accounting whenever expenses are posted and paid. If you're using multi-company, then you can build out consolidated reports using data from accounting. The Documents app lets you create fancy Odoo spreadsheets that use your financial information. The Sign app lets you have your financial documents signed and contracts signed. And then outside of the finance apps, you'll see that you can create invoices from sales orders and subscriptions over there. And finally, the same goes with point of sale. Any of the transactions and payments in point of sale, they all roll up into accounting. Well, there it is, our app map. It's starting to take shape. Looks a little weird, kind of like a weird letter Y or maybe a weird bunny rabbit. Let's go ahead and move on to our next app group. Our third group is the inventory plus the MRP apps. That's actually what it's called on our website. You might also call these the logistics apps or the supply chain apps. It's mostly inventory, purchase, and manufacturing are the big 3. And then the other 3, they're mostly add-ons primarily suited for manufacturing. So you've got quality, PLM, and maintenance. These apps, they're for companies that deal with physical stuff, physical goods like distribution companies and manufacturing companies. They're some of the most robust and complex apps that we have, and each topic can really be huge when you get into it. The inventory app lets you ship, receive, and store products. Pretty straightforward, right? It can be critical for really any company that's dealing with physical goods, whether you're shipping from all over the world in lots of warehouses or you've just got one stock room in your company. It's a detailed WMS for multi-warehouse and locations if you want. Plus, it has really strong product catalog configuration. So when you're working with products, there is a lot that you can deal with, and they will trigger a lot of actions in Odoo. And as a bonus, you can manage all your stock moves and your cycle counts and updates using this free app, the Barcode app. People tend to really like the Barcode app. There's a ton of strong features in inventory and product management, but I'm going to focus on the forecast pop-ups. It shows up on purchase orders, manufacturing orders, and then in this screenshot, it shows up on a quotation. It's this little color-coded icon right here that shows up per line. And if you click it, there's a little pop-up that shows you the forecasted availability for that product. If you want more information, you can click View the Forecast, and then you get a full timeline of the forecasted availability, plus links to any related documents like a purchase order for that item and a receipt for when it's going to come in, those kinds of things. It's great because as you're making a quotation, you can immediately see, do we actually have it? When are we going to have it? how is this going to impact the forecast? The purchase app, it's a lot like our sales app, except you use it to buy things from suppliers using RFQs and purchase orders. A lot of the strength comes from how you can automate the creation of RFQs and POs using automated reordering rules, the master procurement schedule, or just-in-time make-to-order triggers. So the automation into how these things get made is important. Other popular features, approval levels, the ability to do subcontracting, drop shipping, they're all there. And then the way it flows into accounting, by having vendor bills get created from purchase order, that's really essential too. I'm going to highlight reordering rules because Odoo users tend to really love it. Basically, for every product like this graphics card here, you can set minimum max rules, like you need a minimum of 10 in stock. So that if it dips below that, Odoo can automatically generate a draft purchase order or an RFQ in the purchase app for that graphics card. There's a lot more to it than that, but that's the basic idea. And it can really improve the efficiency of your supply chain. Okay, Odoo Manufacturing. It is a very modern tool, emphasis on modern, for production planning and making stuff. There's a ton of things to say about it, so if that's what you're interested in, I do recommend checking out a full manufacturing webinar like the one from a few months back. Some of the easy highlights are the way bill of materials are handled, very easy and very organized. There's a lot of flexibility in how you can approach your manufacturing processes, both overall flexibility and then order by order flexibility. And then I just want to mention this because it doesn't get nearly enough love, but if you ever need to swap out components or do work on a manufactured good, there's the free app called Repairs. It's a great add-on. Big fan of Repairs. And I'm showing this because it's very visual, but it's the Work Center control panel. It's designed to be tablet friendly for shop floor workers to reference when they're working through a job. It allows for time tracking and step-by-step instructions to pop up, and it can be really, really granular if you want it to. As far as the flexibility goes, you don't even need to use it if you don't want to, if it's not part of your process. Like I said, it's a very adaptable manufacturing software. Next up is the quality app, which is useful whenever a company needs to verify that things are meeting certain standards. Basically, you set up control points in manufacturing and inventory, shipping and receiving, so that employees, they have to complete a quality check of some sort if they're going to proceed. There's a lot of different types of quality check you can use, like pass-fail, which is kind of like true-false, enter a measurement, taking a photo. Separately, employees can trigger quality alerts if needed, if they see that there's a problem and they need to have some investigation. And then that lets them do a corrective or preventative action. One type of quality check that we just added recently is called custom quality worksheets. Really cool. Instead of a pass or fail or a single measurement, you can build out entire custom forms with drag and drop fields that are specific to each product or component or process. It's amazing, especially when you incorporate it within manufacturing, because we do find that a lot of manufacturers, this is what they want. They want to have one screen where everything's all in one place where you have to input all the data fields. So that's a good feature. The PLM app, or the Product Lifecycle Management, is specifically for introducing new products and bill of materials or handling version control. It has an engineering change work order workflow that's easily managed in stages. It does a really great job of tracking the bill of material changes and operation changes as you've created them. And it has a really nice approval role feature built into it that's going to block the revision from proceeding or going into effect if you haven't gotten the necessary approval yet. I'm going to show you how BOM changes are somewhat redlined in the PLM app. Basically, while you're updating your bill of materials, you can go to this tab down here and it's going to let you know if you have added any components or removed any components. And in this case, you'll see we removed the original leg product and replaced it with a new leg product. It's great because it's reflected in real time as soon as you're making these updates to the bill of materials. Then there's a maintenance app for preventative and reactive maintenance on equipments. Specifically, when we say equipments, it's used with things like in manufacturing, like if you have drills, saws, lathes, that kind of equipment, as opposed to products. And you could set up recurring schedules that work like a calendar, and it does a really good job of analyzing and predicting failure or downtime based on your past history with that equipment. I really like that the maintenance requests, they can be triggered from a manufacturing work center. So this is that screen that we were just looking at a little bit ago. Any worker, they might be using a work center control panel and to build something in manufacturing. And then let's say that the equipment shuts down. So they could tap this little button here at the top left, and then there's this pop-up. They could choose maintenance requests, and then it's creating a request for the maintenance team that automatically pulls in all the info from that work center and relates it to that equipment that's tied to that work center. It's kind of like using the bat signal to let Batman know that there's crime happening. So yeah, back to the map. Where do the inventory and MRP apps fit on the app map? Well, I'm putting them in the top right because they do connect with both finance and sales things quite well, so might as well keep them right there. Let's zoom in on this section right here. First off, manufacturing and inventory, they're extremely closely connected because manufacturing orders, they both consume products and they produce products directly in your stock. Purchase orders, they trigger receipts in the inventory app, and it's connected to manufacturing because manufacturing, it drives a lot of the demand for what things need to be purchased. So really, inventory, manufacturing, and purchasing together, they form sort of like a supply chain triforce. And then the quality app, that lets you have quality checks throughout both inventory and manufacturing processes. PLM lets you manage product and BOM revisions and version changes. And then the maintenance app, it is used, like we said, to service manufacturing equipment. So there's a connection right there. And then connecting to other groups, the sales orders in the sales app, that often triggers deliveries in the warehouse in inventory app. So it triggers deliveries for things that need to ship out. And it can also create purchase orders and RFQs if it's a make to order or if it's a drop shipped kind of a thing. And it can also trigger manufacturing. So really the sales connects to all of these apps in a very big way. Finally, vendor bills, they're created from the purchase orders, and those feed into accounting. And actually, technically, if you're using automated inventory valuation and real costing, then all stock moves in inventory and manufacturing, those can feed into accounting too. But I forgot to draw that line, so oh well. Okay, so far, so just in those 3 app groups, we're seeing a lot of connections. It's starting to take on some crazy shape. It might look weird right now, but just stay with me. We're building something. Our next group is called the services apps. We have the project app, timesheets, field service, help desk, and planning. And this is less about physical goods, and it's more about labor and time. There's a lot of variety here, but generally each of these apps have to do with providing some sort of service work. The Odoo project app, it can serve a lot of different purposes within a business, but generally it is for managing projects and tasks. It's uniquely business focused because it ties into sales and invoicing. And it works really well for one-off projects, like if you're building a house, or repeatable processes, like when you're following a specific template for an R&D process. So I should point out that here at Odoo, we use projects extensively ourselves. For every internal customer implementation we do here at Odoo, we follow a repeatable project workflow. On the other hand, our R&D department, they use the projects app to manage software redesigns, and that's usually more case by case. So it's very versatile. The front-end portal access to projects, that's a new feature that's really helpful. As you can see in this slide, here is a view of a project and its various tasks in their different Kanban stages. But we're actually seeing it in a front-end customer-facing view online, meaning this is not an actual paid internal user. It's an outsider. It's a customer, or it's some outside user that you've given access to through the online portal. And it's up to you how interactive and collaborative you want it to be, but you could let them go ahead and click into a task, and they can even directly edit something, like going into this date and time field and choosing a date, for example. So the main idea is it really opens the door for collaboration with people outside of your organization through the online portal, and you can limit or provide access as much as you want. The Timesheets app, it's for employees to track the time they spend on their services. They can log the time on the project app, but it also works for HELPDESK, it works for field service, or just by itself. It's designed so that the time can be invoiced to clients as it is delivered in real time. So it's really great for consultants, for lawyers, therapists maybe, basically anybody that's billing based on their labor. And on the other end of it, you can allow your clients to view those timesheet entries through the online portal as well. I want to highlight the mobile timesheet app. If you want, we have a free iOS and Android app. It's just for timesheets, if that's all your employees need to use. And it's really user-friendly. They can create the timesheet entries manually, or they can do it by stopwatch mode, start, stop. Then they can be more specific about the work that they have done and associate it with a project or a task. And then plus it has its own built-in mini reports. So it's optimized for the user. The field service app, it's for on-site work and logging both time and potentially materials. So you can use it for installations, you could use it for maintenance, inspections, resolving problems. You can log time using the Timesheets app that we just covered. And also, you can also log materials like components and hardware, and that can all be quoted and invoiced if you want. There's a really nice ability to have a custom worksheet per job that is job specific or type of operation specific. And since it's designed for performing the services out there in the world, I'm going to mention the map and route planning. So in this case, you might have 3 jobs to do in a day, like you could see on this map right here. And Odoo lets you view them on a map with the information on the right. And then if you just click on View in Google Maps, it can create a route and directions for you right away. So it makes it really easy on your field service workers. Next is HELPDESK. That lets you have a full support department set up to provide good customer service. And it's all about focusing around tickets. It uses those tickets. Customers have numerous ways to submit them, and you can manage them through different ways, escalate them from team to team. The HELPDESK app, it actually has quite a lot of connections to other apps and other workflows, like you can create returns, you can create refunds, repairs. And then one really nice feature that you can have, that we use, of course, is you can use this free app live chat and talk to a real human being. And that's a free app, but it works very closely with HELPDESK. So yeah, the live chat feature, it's great, and it's something we use internally. It's intuitive, so if a customer is online, they're browsing, they might see this little live chat tab down in the bottom right, and if they click on it, then they're having a conversation with a live chat operator. It's like what you'd expect. The cool thing about Odoo and the way it handles it is that on the back end, this is what it looks like. It's this bottom right corner, and really it makes it easier for the live chat operator to multitask. So they could be working on a ticket while they're also having a conversation, or they could be working on 5 conversations. Then there's the planning app. It's basically an easy employee scheduling tool. It really shines with shift management, I would say. So if you're a manager and you're planning out your employee schedules for the week ahead, it's a Gantt chart style tool, as you can see down at the bottom, and it helps kind of anticipate scheduling conflicts if somebody's missing or if you've double booked somebody. And then you can use it within the projects app if you want to help plan your deadlines and then forecast employee time. One really cool feature of planning is that you can publish your weekly schedules for all of your employees online. So they could just check online and they could see the shifts that you have assigned them for that week and maybe give them an email update when it's updated. It's a simple, but it's an effective way to manage a team, especially when the schedules might change from week to week or during a week. Okay, back to our famous app map. Please go ahead and zoom in if you haven't already. I'm going to go ahead and fill out the right-hand side with our services apps. Oh, I'm covering it a little bit with my face, sorry. Okay. I'm going to zoom in on that. Okay. First, the projects and timesheets, they're very closely integrated because you can log time on your project tasks. Similarly, you can log time on support tickets as well. And then there's the planning app that could be used, like I said, to allocate your employee resources on specific projects or specific to tasks. And then there's the whole field service app. Basically, it's a modified version of a project, and all field service tasks, they're really just a special type of project task. And then our friend, the sales app, it connects to the project app in a really big way because if you sell a service, it can generate automatically a project or a task or a project and a task in the project app. And that's what you'd usually do if you sell some sort of consulting service, for example, that you have to deliver. And finally, the inventory app, it connects to field service in a really big way because your on-site field service technicians, they might consume components while they're out on a job. All right, so we're officially halfway through. It's my reminder to myself to drink water. You guys should all drink water back at home too. I should point out that there are more connections and more integrated workflows than these. I'm not showing every single possible connection, just some of the main highlights. All right, back at it. Here we have our websites group, including the website itself, e-commerce, e-learning, appointments, and technically on Odoo.com, the appointments app is listed in the services group. But to me, it's more of a website thing. Don't worry about it. So these apps are all about online presence and providing a front end that connects to the business backend. The main website app itself does what it says. It is an app to build and host a website. It's really great for users either coming from a technical or a non-technical background with advanced quick creation tools like custom themes, building blocks, inline editing, templating, and even there's a website configurator that's based off of your industry. So if you say you're a hair salon, it will generate something based on that. It's always optimized for mobile, so you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to do anything separately to make sure it works on a phone. And then there's a ton of extra add-on modules for the website, like these free apps. You got blogs to post your content. And then forum, which is kind of like an online knowledge base and an online community where people can share and communicate. Now, I've already talked about the customer portal a lot in previous apps and its various uses during this webinar, but honestly, it really is a huge strength. So a lot of times when we say portal, we're referring to this. Your customer, they might log in with their email and they might have a password, and then they'll see something like this. It's a list of info that is relevant to them. So they might click on invoices and bills, and then they're looking at a list of their invoices and the status of those invoices. Or going back, maybe they click on sales orders to see the status of a specific sale, including the delivery status and maybe possibly the shipping information like FedEx or UPS or DHL, if you're using that. So yeah, so that automatic ability to share that real-time backend information with clients through the online portal, that's really huge. Our e-commerce app, it's possibly the most common add-on app for Odoo website. It allows you to publish your products online and sell B2C or sell B2B. Customers, they place their orders online, and these orders immediately flow into the back end of Odoo as sales orders, and they flow into accounting. There's an immediate connection to your back-end inventory for the product catalog, for stock levels, and warehouse deliveries. And it allows you to host multiple separate online orders that are all connected to one database if you want. And we actually don't charge extra for multi-e-commerce, so that's a big strength. There's a lot of really nice modern e-commerce features, like the way that we handle variants and the product configurator. So a product online that you're advertising, it can have different attributes and values, like changing the color. And then once it's added to a cart, you can have certain optional add-ons suggested, like there might be a companion product, an add-on, or a warranty service that you might choose. And the best part of all this really is just that it's really easy to set all that up on the back end. It doesn't require any technical knowledge, and it's not time consuming to set that up. This one's a little unique. This is the e-learning app. It's used to offer your own educational courses online. It's really, really user-friendly, just like everything, but it's really user-friendly to create your courses and your tracks and vary the content up. So it can be a combination of videos, infographics, documents. You can have interactive quizzes along the way, and then maybe whole certification exams where it keeps track of a score. And then you can track people's personal progress as you go. Like most of the apps that we've mentioned previously, Odoo uses e-learning internally. And anybody is welcome, if you haven't already, you're welcome to check out the Odoo e-learning and learn about Odoo, the platform itself, and also see how the e-learning works. I'm going to highlight the points and awards gamification. As you can see here, you can assign points for certain quiz answers, and then the person going through it gradually earns more points, and they can potentially earn badges as awards. The badges in the point system, it's also used in our online forums too, so they can accumulate points different ways. I would just say that there's a lot of areas of business where I think gamification might be a little silly, but for online learning, I think gamification is great. Because people, they like to level up, they like to make progress, it helps with engagement. Maybe you're literally teaching children, so it works. Appointments, that's a way to let your customers book appointments online with your employees. And you can offer different types of appointments linked to different teams or different individuals, and it's based on their availability. Alternatively, employees, they can use it to generate a personalized booking link that they send out. And then very importantly, it all uses the internal calendar app, which is a free app. And the calendar app, that connects with Google and Outlook if you want to. I'm going to highlight that the appointments app, it can connect to the CRM app because you can have it generate opportunities for you when somebody books an appointment. You just check the little create opportunities box when you're configuring the type. Then whenever a client goes online and they try to book an appointment, they go through this process, they choose their time. Then they fill out some basic information, and on the back end, it creates both the meeting and the calendar event, but it also creates an opportunity in the CRM and assigns that to a salesperson. So it's a really nice, easy way to kind of help and begin tracking the potential business. By the way, it also points out if it detects that there's a similar lead already in the system, if it detects comparisons or similarities with the contact info. All right, back to the map. Let's go ahead and throw our website apps onto the left side here. You'll notice I combined website and e-commerce together, just like I did with accounting and invoicing. And that's because that's what it does in an actual Odoo database. If you install e-commerce, it just gets absorbed and combined into website. We're going to go ahead and zoom in right here. And a lot of these connections, they should be pretty obvious by now. E-learning content, it's all hosted on the website. And similarly, people that visit the website can book appointments if you're using the appointment app add-on. Very important connection between e-commerce and sales, since orders come in as sales. And then CRM, it's connected because you can create leads and opportunities from contact forms on the website, or like we just talked about, from the appointments app when a person schedules an appointment. And really, if we wanted to, we could draw tons and tons of lines connecting to the website app itself, because most of the Odoo apps have some way of sharing the back-end information to the front end in the website if you want to. But I don't want to get too crazy here. That would probably look really ugly. So that's the website apps. Let's get to the next group after I drink some water. I'm kind of talking a lot. It's okay. It's worth it. We have 4 marketing apps, which are all about raising your company's brand awareness, drawing in attention, doing what marketing is supposed to do, hopefully bringing in new potential clients. And so we got email marketing, marketing automation, social marketing, and events. Email marketing, it lets you manage your mass mailing. First, you build out different templates using drag and drop tools, very similar to the way our website builder works. After the email blasts go out, you can report on the open rates, how many people clicked on a link, the delivery rate. And then as an add-on, if you want, you can have the exact same kind of functionality and reporting with text messages using the SMS marketing app. And that's a free app, although it does require that you have email marketing. One of the best things about email marketing is that it works with your existing Odoo records, and you get to choose exactly who's going to receive them. So in this screenshot, this shows where you configure a mass email. I'm going to go ahead and choose to send some of my contacts, as opposed to like my opportunities or my vendors. And then below, you get to add filters to narrow it down. So in this case, it's people in the US, and they belong to an actual company, and they're in any state except for Texas. Like, no offense, Texas, but you're not going to get this email. And so you can be really, really specific about the audience that's receiving it, and it automatically uses who you have in your system. The next app, marketing automation, it builds on top of email marketing, and it lets you create multi-step automated campaigns. So you can set up different campaigns for drip marketing to your old leads, or maybe to anybody that attended a webinar, or maybe anybody that has an abandoned e-commerce shopping cart. And then what's really beneficial is that the interactions that people have with these emails, they can trigger actions throughout Odoo. Like they can create a lead, they can update a record, and then you get some really detailed reporting that you would see, the same that you would see in email marketing, except for every stage of your campaign. And the visual way that your email campaigns are displayed, it makes it really easy to see it, to conceptualize it when you're building it. So in this example, I'm going to send the email to people 1 hour after they enter this drip campaign. And then 7 days after that, if they haven't bought anything, if they're not a customer, then it's going to send this other email. And then finally, if the customer replies to that email, I have it set up so that it's going to send an internal message to their assigned sales rep. So it's that combination of the communication on a schedule and then internal triggered actions. That's where it's really valuable. Social marketing, it's a centralized place to manage your different social media feeds. We're adding more all the time, but for now it's Facebook, it's Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. You can create scheduled campaigns with multiple posts in a row, just like with marketing automation. And the biggest convenience is really just monitoring it all in one place, which I'll show right here. It's easy to highlight it. Basically, for any of the feeds, you can manage all of the comments and interactions within Odoo. And so you can comment back and communicate from there. And that makes it just a lot easier to, it's easier than if you were to manage them all in their own separate platforms. And it makes it easier to do things like creating opportunities and sharing links that are related to your system. The last marketing app is Events, which we actually use to arrange this particular scheduled webinar. So it's for planning and hosting of traditional live events like face-to-face trade shows, that kind of thing, or online events. First, you can advertise and you can sell the registration tickets just like you would with any e-commerce product. And if you want, you can collect sponsors and you can have different speakers and split the event into a full agenda with a bunch of different parts to it. And then I should point out that Odoo, we have used it ourselves. We've relied on it really heavily for 2 large OXP events that are these huge global online events. And each one of them had at least around 60,000 attendees and registrations. But we were able to handle the whole thing. And even though it had a very detailed and kind of complex agenda. So I just want to show the relatively recent online agenda generator that we have. Basically, it can display all of the different individual talks and different sections of your event, and then let attendees plan for it accordingly. And they can also search and filter through the talks with keywords. All right, back to the map. I'm going to go ahead and put the marketing apps close to the website apps. You want your website close to your marketing. I'm going to zoom in on the right area here, and okay, email marketing. It sends emails to both contacts and leads or opportunities. You can make that more complex if you want by building out detailed step-by-step campaigns using marketing automation. Then the events app, it connects closely to website and e-commerce because you can advertise the events there and you can sell the tickets online. I didn't mention this earlier, but the social marketing app can actually also be used to send out push notifications to people that browse your website and maybe browse specific pages of your website. And the website also has a connection to marketing automation because if you want, you can use marketing automation to automatically email people that abandon an online shopping cart, for example. By the way, for the full effect, if you haven't yet, I really do recommend viewing this video in full screen since it's starting to get detailed. Use your giant HD TV in your living room to view it, see it in all its glory. Just 2 more app groups to go. Again, taking a drink. All right. We have 4 main apps in the HR suite. We got recruitment, appraisal, referrals, and time off. And these apps, they're for taking care of your own employees. After all, employees are resources, but they're also human beings. And HR, it starts with recruitment because employees have to come from somewhere. It's for posting, from screening, and hiring. It's a really good applicant tracking system, or an ATS, and it's really easy for recruiters to work with and learn quickly. As a testament to how well it works and how effective it is, Odoo itself, we have exploded our headcount globally, worldwide, doubling up to around 1,900 people in just the last 2 years, all using our recruitment app. And I can't talk about HR without also bringing up this very critical free app called the Employees app. It comes with Odoo automatically for free, and all of the HR apps are based around how they interact with the Employees app. So part of recruitment, part of the benefit, it comes from the way that you can incorporate different forms along the way, both for the initial application, all the way till when you're sending an employment contract for them to get hired. So here's an applicant that you're going to hire. Let's say you've been working with them for a while, you've been trying to recruit them, and you're ready to propose a contract. So the recruiter or the hiring manager, they can click Generate Offer, and then there's a pop-up where the recruiter or the hiring manager specifies very basic information like which contract template to use, and then you generate and you send a link to the candidate. And then from there, the candidate can fill out this custom form online that you've configured to collect out all the necessary information relevant to it. So it's a very smooth process, and it just lets you speed up the hiring. The Appraisal app, that's meant for handling the reviews and progress of your employees over time. You can go ahead and schedule recurring appraisals like quarterly, annually, every 2 years, every 5 years, I don't know, to notify both the employee and the manager. And then for each employee, you get to set specific goals and track their progress and their skills. And it does a really good job of incorporating evaluation forms using this other free app we have called Odoo Surveys. And Surveys actually does a lot more beyond just this, but it's very useful in appraisals. So yeah, let's show how the Surveys app works real quick in here because it's useful on a lot of levels. This is what it looks like to configure on the back end. Basically, you create a series of questions and you specify different kinds of answer like multiple choice, enter text, checkboxes. And then this is what the employee sees when they go through the evaluation. It's a nice online form that they fill out. And as a side note, Surveys, it can actually also be used for live real-time quizzes with a live audience, and that's usually pretty fun and interactive. Referrals, that's a system to encourage your employees to refer new recruits to apply to your company. And it's kind of set up almost like a game. It incentivizes people to send candidates to you, and they can earn points for resumes, and as their candidates move through the different hiring stages, they can earn more and more points. And then it seems to work too, because I checked, and several hundred of our own Odoo hires just this year in 2021, they came in originally as referrals using our referrals app. So it seems to work. You can take a look here at what the employee would see in their own referrals dashboard. This shows the different people that they have sent in, the different referrals they've made. And they can even see exactly how far they've made it in the process and how many points they've earned. And it's great because I've heard from other people at other really big organizations that there's usually a lot of chaos and disconnect between what happens when they first make the referral and then what happens next. But here with this app, it's a lot more transparent, it's a lot more clear. It's a really good way to grow your org. Time off, it's for employees to log their vacations and personal time, that kind of thing. It's really quick for employees to submit the request in just a couple steps, which is great because chances are they're, sick in bed, they're in the hospital, they don't want to spend a lot of time submitting this request. And then, it immediately goes to a manager for approval, kind of like an expense. And if you want, we just added this feature where you can gradually accumulate time off and PTO as the year progresses. I wanted to highlight the planning view that managers get to see when they're approving their time off requests. Basically, it lets you view all of the different time off requests side by side for their department. And so it's really easy to tell, for example, if you have something like this, 3 overlapping requests all on the same day. And so, the manager might visually use that and say, oh, honestly, can you change your time off by 1 day or something like that? Or just plan accordingly. And let's look at the world's greatest map again, and we're going to add our HR apps all along the bottom left, and we'll zoom in there. You'll see that I threw employees in on the map. Even though it's a free app, it's really critical to all this, so don't worry about it. Let's start with how the recruitment app connects to website. You can advertise your job postings online, and then you can collect the resumes and applications. The appointments app, it can actually help a lot with the interviewing process because hiring managers and recruiters, they might use appointments for personal links to schedule the interviews. And then when somebody's hired, they automatically get added to your employees app, and it brings in all of their info and their records. You can go ahead and speed up and improve your recruitment process if you use the referrals app for more word-of-mouth applicants. And then down here, employees, they can manage their vacation time and their sick days with the time off app. And over time, you can manage your ongoing employee evaluations and reviews using the appraisal app. So pretty straightforward relationships there with the HR. You can see how they all kind of hinge around employees. And we're back. It's nearly complete, but it's still missing something. So productivity apps, that's our last group. You might also kind of consider this sort of like miscellaneous group because they're not directly related to each other. So really, these apps, they can be used in a lot of different ways across the platform. And they're all about kind of improving functionality, improving the usability, and then ultimately making your workers more productive. We've got Approvals, IoT, and Studio. I should say the famous Odoo Studio. So Approvals, it's a very multi-purpose way to set up your approval flows where employees can request permission for anything, really anything, across the company, and then it'll have to be granted by specific people. So real life examples might be somebody's requesting a new computer, or they're requesting a copy of a document or certificate, approval to begin a new project. It can be multiple layers of people granting approval based on the roles that they have, manager level, HR manager, whatever. Each approval request can have its own custom forms where you choose what kind of data needs to be input. And then every step of the way, there's notifications being sent out to the relevant people. One really common use case that's actually built into the Approvals app is the RFQ request flow, and it can tie into the Purchase app. You can see on the screen right here that this employee, they're requesting for an RFQ to go through the purchasing department. They want this particular fuel intake part. So then they click Submit up at the top left, and when they do that, it sends it to a manager to approve. So once the manager actually approves it, it's going to show up here, and then it allows them to click Create RFQ. And when they do, it goes ahead and it makes an RFQ and generates it in your Purchase app using all that information. So it's an example of how automation and approvals can be used together for workflows all the way across the platform. IoT is short for Internet of Things, and it's all about connecting software to specific kinds of hardware. It's unique because it lets you hook up physical devices, a lot of measurement tools, for example, like calipers, scales, but also foot switches, printers that are maybe industry specific, that kind of thing. The setup within the IoT app, it's really easy, and it uses just standard connections like USB and Bluetooth. And then the most common use cases we see are in point of sale setups or manufacturing shops, I would say. Because it relies on this little piece of hardware right here you can see called the Odoo IoT box that serves as sort of the hub. You plug things into it. And note that depending on what you're trying to hook up, it's possible that extra drivers will need to be developed for it. So I should just highlight that. You can't necessarily just plug in whatever you want and suddenly it works. It depends on what it is and might require some development. It's really hard to show off the IoT capabilities without kind of seeing it live, but here's an example diagram of how it would work within point of sale. You have your IoT box connected to a router or Wi-Fi, And then you just plug things in. You hook up a cash register, a barcode scanner, a printer, and then you might have a tablet that's not plugged in, but you're using a signal on Bluetooth or something to control everything. Note that in version 15, we've kind of expanded the wireless capabilities of its Odoo Studio. Studio is our customization tool. You can use it to modify all the Odoo apps, and also you can use it to create your own stuff. It is built around drag and drop tools, kind of like our website builder, and those tools, they generate code for you. It lets you change the names and change the behavior of existing fields, as well as you can go ahead and create your own fields. You can create new connections, and that's where it starts to get really powerful, because in addition to all the connections that we're highlighting on our map, you might decide you want to connect two apps together that are not connected by default by some workflow. You could do that with Studio. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it's probably my favorite app overall. It also lets you create new models, new apps, new automations. It's just really, really powerful. It's kind of endless what you can do with it, and it really saves a lot of time in implementation too. One really particularly useful feature in Studio, it's the ability to modify any of the generated PDF reports using drag and drop tools. In this screenshot, we have Studio's interface is turned on, and you're modifying the default quotation PDF template. So right here on the left, you'll see different types of fields. So if we want to, we can choose something like inline column, and then you can drag it and drop it where you want it to be on the document. And then there will be a pop-up asking you, well, what is this field? What's it pointing to? In this case, we're just going to select the product image. And then within seconds, you've modified it so that every quote you send from there on out will have the product images in the left-hand column. So yeah, no technical skills needed. As you can imagine, it's a really popular feature because nearly everybody out there wants some kinds of changes and customizations. Okay, let's finish this map off. And again, if you're not already, you might want to view the video in full screen to see the details, because I realize that text is kind of tiny. I'm going to go ahead and add the productivity apps down here. I'm choosing not to draw any connecting lines to the productivity apps, mostly because they're designed to be multi-purpose and used kind of across the platform. It's fine. And there you have it. So one group at a time, we've built out this app map to highlight that even though you can pick and choose modularly which apps you want for your business, ultimately, it's all one connected and integrated platform. Coincidentally, since we think Odoo is a beautiful software, the app map, it happens to look like a butterfly, in this particular case, una mariposa. That might help you visualize it. I don't know. Think of it as a digital transformation or a metamorphosis. I don't know. I had fun there. And in addition to the main paid apps, along the way, we also talked about these free apps. We got contacts, barcode, repairs, live chat, blogs, forum, calendar, SMS marketing, employees, and surveys. There's more free apps beyond that. But if you're curious about any of the free apps, feel free to reach out. Sometimes the free ones can go under the radar, but you really don't want to miss out on it if you could benefit from it. So let's wrap it up. I hope you were able to see today and understand that each individual app is designed for a very specific business need or a department, type of employees, and it allows for new workflows, new processes, data management related to that. For every single app, we always prioritize the ease of use so that people can learn it and adapt to it quickly. And we also really prioritize flexibility from how many different ways you can go about something all the way to the fact that you can customize pretty much everything. And really the key is, the whole point of me showing that Odoo app map is to just highlight the integrated workflows. It's those workflows together that make it usable and really kind of bring in the value of having a system like this. So obviously we moved fast and we barely scratched the surface of the system in those apps. So if you want to learn more about anything Odoo related, you can always start a free trial yourself if you haven't already. We have a full online learning platform with a lot of great video tutorials hosted by the famous Amy Carolyn. For really long or longer, I should say, more detailed videos or webinars like this one, you can check out Odoo on YouTube. And finally, if you want to, feel free to just email me. It's bhy@odoo.com. I mostly focus on North America and Latin America, but I'm always happy to forward you to the right people if needed. And that wraps it up. I got to say, we actually ran out of time for questions. I hope they're being asked or answered on the side. Any other questions, I'll try to reach out afterwards. Feel free to email me and we can get into it there. I just want to say thank you for watching. I hope it was useful to you. I hope maybe you learned something interesting along the way, and thanks a lot. We hope